Hello and welcome to Big Boy Bigger Dreams. I'm the big boy with the big dreams, Eden Longson, and this is episode 17, I believe, of this podcast, which is pretty crazy. Podcast log, so it's a plog. I'm still very much hoping to pioneer a new type of podcasting, the plog, because you know what, I miss the blog. I think blog was a great art form, and vlogs kind of annoyed me. Vlogs are a bit, because there's a lot of travel vlogs nowadays, and it's basically just rich people going on nice holidays and being like, look how amazing a time we had. It's like, well, yeah, you can afford to have a really nice time. Whereas a blog felt a bit more of the people. It felt a bit more like people just blogging about their lives. It's just an online journal. That's what this is. This is a podcast version of a journal, and I usually give them names each episode. And the episode name for today is Fragments and Shards. I usually make the episode title like opposites that I then try and prove are actually very similar or both needed or something, but I think Fragments and Shards just kind of worked for me this week, because I do have notes in my cute little, I think this is a Victorian Albert Museum notebook, which I've written in a lot. You might be able to see on the video if you're watching the video. If you're just listening at home, it's a very nice notebook. And I'm near the end of it, which makes me very sad. Oh no, it's a British Museum one, sorry. Not a V&A, it's a British Museum. Although to be fair, I think I bought it at Foyles, so I'm just a big phony. Anyway, let's get into the episode. So you might, if you're watching, you might know that I'm currently not recording in the place I usually record. I'm recording in my bedroom. I'm on my bed. In front of my radiator, my desk is just there. I've got my big Sports Direct mug that every British household seems to own for some reason. And yeah, I'm just sat on my bed in my big hoodie. This is because I wasn't able to record at the studio, because I usually record on Fridays in my studio, but unfortunately, I had a really good time. I went to a do instead of being at the studio. So I went to work all day, got home very quickly, got changed, went back out again, put my drippest fit on, and went out to a bar in Ealing, which is just really far away from me. I live in Greenwich, and a bit of London geography for you. Like, look at both ends of London. That's where Greenwich and Ealing are, respectively. Like, I'm really far south really far east and pretty south. And then Ealing is like really far west and a bit north. Thank God for the Elizabeth line, which took me right there. It was very nice. Me and my friend Caitlin went. Shout out Caitlin Jeffries, brilliant sax player. And we got on the Elizabeth line and got there, and it was really nice. We had a really good time. We were there. The reason we were out there is because someone who we know is leaving. And they're travelling away to the States, which is pretty great. As a musician who's going out there to study, but they've also got like a bit of a job out there, and they also have a partner out there. And that's the dream, right? To go to the US with a job, so you have health insurance, studying, so there's a bit less pressure, and you get to be part of the American music education system, which is actually like fairly decent compared to the English one. I would say maybe. Don't come at me, but I would say there's some evidence for that. And then also just to have a partner there already. Like, you're not going there just like trying to figure it all out. It sounds pretty great. But this friend, I don't know if I mentioned this in a blog a while ago, but me and a big band that I play with, it's how I know Caitlin from this big band. And we did a gig back in February, I guess. Might even have been late January, up in Stoke-on-Trent at the Malmay Club, and we did this gig, and loads of the players got COVID out of nowhere. So we had basically, I think basically all of the trumpets, maybe bar one. There's usually 4 trumpets in a big band, and I think 3 of them were deps, just because people had got COVID or couldn't make it. Saxophone wise, we had 2 deps, maybe 3. Oh my god, yeah, it was a dep heavy band that evening, but we still played pretty well, I think. Went pretty good. I have a gig with that band, with the Mojo Big Band at Regent Park, on Sunday the 30th of July. If anyone is free and wants to go, please come and be part of that gig. It's going to be really fun. So it's a week tomorrow, a week on, I don't know when I'm going to release this. So it's like on Sunday the 30th in Regent's Park. I think we're playing at 3 o'clock. Come on down. It'll be really fun. But anyway, so this gig I did in Stoke Newington, one of the Deps on saxophone was Caitlin's friend. And in the interval, we were chatting, and I was like, oh, right, okay, so what's your name? And she was like, Lucinda. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, that's a cool name. I've only ever heard of one Lucinda ever in my life. And she's like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, oh, it's Eden. And I started making a joke about how it's a long-running gag amongst my friends that my name is also a girl's name. Eden is a unisex name. I have met far more girls called Eden than I've met boys called Eden, and it's definitely become like a bit of an ongoing joke, but whatever. I'm not upset about it. And I made that joke, and then Lucinda said, oh, well, I only know one Eden, and he's a bloke. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then we got talking a bit more, and I was like, I swear, what's your last name? And she said her last name, and I was like, I don't know if that wasn't the name I thought it was going to be. Okay, you're not the person I know then. And then carried on talking. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Where are you from? And she said, oh, I'm from just outside Stoke-on-Trent. And I was like, it is you. And I was like, you went to this high school, and then you went to this high school, and I know you moved to this high school, and you're friends with these people, and I'm friends with some of those people. And it was crazy, because honestly, a lot of my friends, so growing up, so for my secondary school, I had some friends. Not until sixth form did I have any like friends who were like musical, really. All the friends who I were friends with who did music were either at Newcastle High School, because I've been to primary school with them. So I used to go and practice with them a bit, but they were all really like into becoming doctors or whatever nerd shit they wanted to do. And then, or they went to Blythe Bridge High School, which is a high school I somewhat wish I'd gone to, on account of like the fact that I live really close to it, so it would have been really convenient. I probably could have like walked. I mean, it would have been like an hour walk, but I don't know. I did try one time. I tried walking back from my secondary school. So at my secondary school, St Joseph's, we got a snow day at lunchtime. So we've been there all morning, and they were like, "Look, it's so bad, just go home." And I attempted to walk back to my parents' house. I walked a bit the way my friend Sophie, walked her back to her house, and that took like an hour. And then I kept going, and I made it to my nan's house, which is still another like 50 minutes away from my mum and dad's house. And I just got to my nan's house. I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna go. Hey, up, Mum, I can have a cup of tea. Let me call my mum and let her know that I'm, this was, to be fair, this was sixth form, so I wasn't, 12 doing this. But it was really snowy, and it's really, really far, so there's no way. I mean, I couldn't, if to walk to and from my secondary school, I'd have had to have woken up at 5 a.m. every day, and then also got home at 8 o'clock every day. So there's no way. But I digress. So it turns out that she's the Lucinda I knew, and I'm the Eden that she knew. When she said, oh, I only know one Eden, he's a boy, she meant me. That was me she was on about. Which I think is just, it's really, really crazy. But then, so I, met Lucinda properly, I guess. And it's funny because her best friend, I was at her best friend's wedding, because her husband is one of my best friends. You know what, Ant, if you're listening, which I doubt you are, but if you are listening, Ant, you would be very much one of my closest friends of all time if we lived in the same city. I really miss you. Anthony, he's one of those friends from Blythe High, that I did music with, and he used to have a band called Opting for Oblivion that I used to go and watch all the time. They were so good. And we used to share gigs a lot, because I was in a band called Stays Asleep. Eventually, both those bands broke up, and Ant and I were like, we should do something. So we started a band called Inglorious. I thought we were pretty decent. Me and Ant were pretty decent. The singer was fine, and the bassist was a bit odd, but he was fine. But we had a really fun, the summer of 2011, so much fun, because we were just sat in my field, writing like new metal. It's really, really fun. And yeah, and like Ant and I, yeah, we've done loads of stuff together. He and Tom Carter are both owners of Riff Factory, which is a recording studio / rehearsal space in Stoke-on-Trent, and I love them. In fact, there's an episode on my YouTube somewhere, a podcast episode of Off the Score, podcast I used to do, which I might bring back, I don't know, of me interviewing them back in 2019. Yeah, love those guys. It's funny, I'm really not reading any of my notes, but I'm such a, like, loyalist, like, when it comes to music, as in, like, let's say, best case scenario is that a record label, I don't know, Ninja Tune or Brain Feeder, like, contact me and say, we want to give you a record deal, here's a load of money to record an album, where do you want to record it at? Do you want to go Abbey Road? We could fly you out to LA, or like, what do you want to do? I'd be like, that sounds great, except we're going to Riff Factory Studio in Stoke-on-Trent. And they'd be like, where? And I'd be like, Sunderland Road, Stoke-on-Trent, down the road from FWB, you know it? And I'd record there, and I'd pay Tom all that money and be like, yeah, I guess you're gonna install better soundproofing in the studio with all the money I'm about to give you, but we're gonna do the album here, because, like, why would I do it anywhere else? Two of my best friends, like, run it. Like, of course I'm gonna go there. They're amazing, and they're, you know, they try so hard, they work so hard, and they are so good at what they do. And I think, you know, let's go record it there. Hell yeah. Anyway, so Lucinda is this person who's leaving for America, and we had her leaving do last night. And that was really nice. In fact, the person whose wedding, so Ant's wife, Charles, was there. She came down to London to see her, so we hung out. That was really nice. I feel like when you see another Stokey anywhere, we do just sort of, like, you know, clump. So me and Charlotte were, like, just sat talking for ages. You know, because it's so nice to see someone else who has, like, your accent. I mean, Charlotte has a much more of a Stokey accent than I have, but it's just nice to be around and just, like, and talking about stuff, and, like, it, you know, I don't know if I said it before, but I know that, like, in my office at work, well, my job right now, I tell you, like, I work in, like, 3 different departments. I work mainly as a research administrator, but I've also been asked to work for dance postgraduate studies, and then every now and again I'm doing junior Trinity shifts, and I mean, it's like, please stop giving me this much responsibility, because I don't want it, and also I'm definitely not good at these things, so I don't know why I keep getting this responsibility, but, you know, it's funny, I sound really ungrateful when I say that. I will go back to my original point, but I do feel really ungrateful when I say that. It feels as though I am taking for granted the fact that people are, like, paying me to, like, work, which is something that not everyone has at the minute. But I just trained for 6 years to become a drummer and a composer. It'd be nice if I could do some drumming and some composing for money, you know? But whatever, I digress. But there's, yeah, in one of the offices I work in at work, there's someone who was one of my sister's best friends in secondary school. It's like, there's, like, I don't know how many people Trinity Laban has as part of their administrative staff. Probably looking at 100 people, maybe less, and 2 of them went to the same secondary school, both Stokies. What? Like, that's mad. Like, it's insane, but we do it, and you can always tell a Stokey, because when you go to a cafe with one, what we'll do is look underneath the mug, or the saucer or plates, because it's probably made in Stoke. Like, I've been in America in a cafe, looked underneath the mug, Steelite, based in Tunstall, based in Stoke-on-Trent, like Churchill, Port Merion, Spode, Wedgwood, Emma Bridgewater, like, honestly, we're all over that stuff. You know, I feel like I probably have spoken about that before. I need a producer who can, like, sit and be like, have extensive notes and be like, shut up, stop talking about that because you've already spoken about that. But you know what? This is a very low budget production, as the people who are watching this can see, because I am literally in my bedroom, my little room down in London. Yeah, just trying to get a podcast out there. But anyway, Fragments and Shards is what I called the episode today, and I think it's because when you drop pottery, it's a bit like glass. It shatters, and you get all these shards and these fragments. And I think the difference between a shard and a fragment is that I feel like a fragment is a bit, and a shard is like a sharp bit. It's as though it becomes dangerous or weaponized. It's not like something you can put back together necessarily. It feels more like this is just now going to hurt people. It's like when you drop a mug, you brush it up and put it in the bin. And I kind of feel a bit like Smash Pottery a bit. I'm not. I'm not the cup that you tip to see the label. I'm the mug that's smashed all over the floor that you sweep up and throw away. And I just, it's kind of weird to say that. It just feels like I was this piece of porcelain or piece of china that has smashed, and I'm still trying to frantically figure out which bits are me, which bits are someone else, which bits need to be saved, which bits need to go back in, which bits need to be left out. I've made myself into like a human puzzle, trying to piece myself back together, or maybe I never got put together properly in the first place, or I don't know. I tell you what though, I bigged myself up at the party. So at the party at this bar, we were talking about this big band that we play in, me and Caitlin, and it's an amateur big band. We don't get paid, but I am a professional musician. At the very least, semi-professional, because I do get paid to play music, just not for my. I can't do that. I can't pay my bills with just that. Let's put it that way. But I told Charlotte about how when I first auditioned for the band, because I saw that they were advertising, so I auditioned, and I won't lie, they were falling. And I said this. I was like, they were falling over themselves to ask me to join the band. They were like, okay, yeah, are you available? Can you be in the band? And I said, oh well, aren't you auditioning other people? And because I think they'd auditioned someone the week before. And literally they were like, yeah, no, it's fine. No, please, just join the band. And that made me feel really good. Because you know what? I have been in love with big band music and jazz music for a very long time. And I have been playing it for a very long time. And I've put a lot of effort into being good at it. So it felt very validating to hear that, And I think actually sometimes it's really important to take stock of those validating moments, which it's interesting. I've spoken to my therapist about this at length, but I honestly always feel like a compliment or a validation that never puts me back together again, that almost makes me more fragmented, because I get two thoughts. And the first thought is, the first initial thought is like, oh, that's nice. Oh, maybe I am doing something right. And the second thought is, don't think you're better than anyone. Don't big up yourself. Don't get big-headed. Who do you think you are? And that's maybe the difference between a fragment and a shard, because a fragment is like a bit thing somewhere. A shard is like a knife. And it does suck that my brain does that. My brain immediately tries to shut it down. My brain's like, no, you're not. Don't get big-headed. Don't get ahead of yourself. And it's funny because there are so many successful people, especially in the music industry, who I feel like have gotten to where they are because they've just got massive cojones. They know they're amazing. They might, they might not be amazing. They might be amazing, I don't know, but they know they are in their head. They know they're amazing, and so they're like, well, nothing's going to stop in my way of getting big and doing amazing things because I'm amazing. Whereas in my head, I'm like, well, I'm a worm and I belong in the dirt. So if I even get, a little bit of crumb, that's something. And I deserve no more. Which is sad. I think you could all agree that's fairly sad. But yeah, I did bring myself the pie though. I did bring that up, and it did feel good to say. Although I did have all these thoughts, now I'm talking about it now. Like, it's funny how even though I did do that and I did have that moment of, oh, okay, great, I'm still now unraveling it and processing it and talking about how it was actually kind of weirdly detrimental. It's weird. But yeah, I'm kind of curious as to why I don't like doing that. Why I don't like bigging myself up. I don't like complimenting myself. And when I do, honestly as well, I don't know if anyone else does this, but whenever I do, like I did last night, I always say like, I don't do this. I don't like bigging myself up. This is taking a lot for me to say, but I'm kind of good at drums. I was like, yeah, well, of course I'm good at drums. I've been playing drums for how long? 16 years, 17 years, and I've got a degree. I won the Alan Barker Memorial Reward for Jazz Improvisation whilst at the Royal Northern College of Music. You know what I mean? Like, I'm, you know, I was on 8 out of 10 'cause I was on 8 out of 10 Cats Countdown. You know, I actually told my. Did I speak about this? I don't know if I did. I told my therapist about a moment where someone that I was seeing, and this was a story about how I don't like being big-headed and felt like I could be big-headed, and I was worried about being big-headed. And so someone that I was seeing and we were. This is back whilst I was at the Royal Northern College of Music. And I'd been asked to play in the Miurga ensemble, the Making Up As We Go Along ensemble. So this is when I was doing my PG dip year, my third year of the Northern, and I'd had quite a lot of pieces played by this point, and I think I was doing quite well. I'd got a distinction in my masters, and I was doing a postgraduate diploma. So, and even though that was all in composition, I was still doing loads of drumming at college as well. So I felt really good, and she helped me get my stuff out of my car to put it in the lift to take up to the studio that we were rehearsing in, and a trumpet player, came towards us, and as we were waiting for the lift, and the lift was taking a while, and the person, I said, oh hi, how you doing, are you here for Miurga? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, what's your name? And he told me his name, and then before I could say my name, he said, "Oh, and you're Eden, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am. Yeah." I was like, "How do you know that?" Sorry. And he was like, "Oh, because I've seen your pieces being performed and stuff, and I've seen you like around and like all that kind of stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you. That's very nice." And then we waited for a little bit, and then he sort of said, "You know what? I don't want to wait for the lift anymore. I've already got a trumpet at my back. I'm just gonna go upstairs." And then the person I was with said to me, "Oh, I bet you loved that, didn't you?" Like that. And it's funny because at the time I sort of laughed it off. I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess." And my therapist was like, that's not big-headedness." And I was like, "I don't understand." And she's like, that's not being big-headed. That's like you that you got complimented, or like you got noticed, like, and that was it. Like, that you weren't being big-headed. This person shamed you into feeling big-headed, but you weren't being big-headed. And that was a massive turning point for me, actually, because it kind of made me reevaluate and recontextualize my relationship with that person, as well as the way I feel about myself, because actually it was a compliment to kind of be because there also as well, like, I'm a musician and I'm podcasting, plog casting, and I am doing, I'm doing this. I'm trying to create YouTube content as well. I'm trying to create compositional content. I'm trying to do solo project stuff, and with the Mighty Thunderwells, my band, I'm trying to do all this stuff to be in front of an audience, to be in the spotlight. So if I need to, if someone says to me, "Oh, I know who you are," that's a good thing, because it means that it's working and I am getting somewhere. And for me to think, "Oh, well, that's me being big-headed," the fact that someone knows me and I felt good about it, how does that make any sense? That makes zero sense. You know, if I actively feel bad about anyone knowing who I am, how's anyone? It's going to sound stupid what I'm about to say, but how's anyone going to know who I am? How's anyone going to hire me? Steven Spielberg isn't gonna hear about me and ask me to be in his film unless he's heard about me, like unless he's seen me somewhere or heard my music or something. Like he's not gonna just randomly scroll through, I don't know, Apple Music or Spotify and be like, oh yeah, this guy with 1 monthly listener, let's get him going. So yeah, that's a thing. So yeah, I definitely, that big-headedness is really interesting because I don't think I am actually big-headed, but I've been made to feel big-headed, and I think I've been made to feel big-headed by people who are smaller in my life or bigger in my life than they should be. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I've been on, so TikTok's great. I'm on it all the fucking time. And some of my videos on TikTok have been doing kind of okay, which is nice. Just me drumming. So if you ever feel like you want to go on TikTok, please go watch my stuff. But there's this realm of TikTok. So there's different pods of TikTok. There's like history talk. There's like drum talk's not really a big thing on TikTok, I've seen. I think for like drum Instagram is more of a thing. But anyway, there was like potato talk for a while where people kept sharing potato recipes, and there's like musical theatre talk and blah 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 blah. But there's this one particular brand of TikTok recently that I've been watching called Sad Talk, and it's always got this really beautiful sad piece of music underneath it from Minari, the A24 movie, and which I haven't seen and I really want to see. But it's always just quotes, like really sad quotes, like really, really just like heartbreaking quotes. Like one of them is like, I remember there's one that's come up a few times, which is something like, I am sad because now I have to remember you for longer than I knew you. Oh my God. This is heartbreaking. That sucks. And I love it. I love sad talk. Whenever I see a sad talk, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to scroll through these 20 to 30 different quotes that are all going to make me cry. There was one horrible one that I sent to my sister about Laika. Laika, Laika, not the film studio that made like Coraline and Box Trolls and whatever. Laika was the name of the dog that the Soviets sent into space. I think it's a little terrier thing. And basically the Soviets were testing a space flight, and they put a dog in a capsule and sent her to space. And the thing is that this was a one-way trip. There was no way to get her back. There wasn't like a remote control back in like 1961 or whatever. So I think it was Sputnik 2, I think. So yeah, they put this dog into space and then this dog died. And it was just this really heartbreaking slideshow about how the one of the lead scientists took like a home with them one night so that the dog could just like play with his kids, just because he thought it's so sad, like this dog's so lovely, let's make sure she has like a nice night before we send her. And which is sad, but then the most heartbreaking thing was like someone said we didn't learn enough from this mission to have done this. The death of this dog was not worth the information we got off this trip. And to be honest, in my opinion, I don't know how much information at all could be worth killing a dog. But it was really heartbreaking. And there was a really beautiful quote at the end, which was like, from space, the Earth looks like a giant blue ball. I'll throw it for you, Laika, if you catch it. And just the idea that there's this dog who predated man in space, just up amongst the stars, like one of the most pioneering members of space travel was actually this dog called Laika, which is so beautiful. It's really sad. So yeah, I love sad talk because it makes me feel things, and I quite like feeling things. I don't know about you lot. I love crying at movies. I love feeling feelings. And it's interesting as well because I feel like sometimes it's conflation. So like I love feeling feelings. I love being made to feel upset and sad
I don't love it. I just appreciate it. I think there's a great appreciation for something that could make me really sad. Like when I first ever heard the story of Emmett Till, like I remember like recounting that to my mum and just like crying, just like, doesn't that suck? Like, isn't that the fucking worst? Like it's not like I'm getting happiness out of it. It's just that I feel it so deeply when I hear like a really just story that destroys me. Like, and I feel like that's important. So it's not like I'm getting enjoyment out of it. It's not like I fucking love it in the sense of like, oh, it brings me happiness. It's more like I feel like it's really important to feel those things. And sometimes it's really important to feel the weight of the world, because that way we get to see how important it is when something goes right. And when something is great and good and beautiful, it feels so great and good and beautiful because we did it. You know, we didn't stay with dark, horrible shit. We were able to move forward to this beautiful thing. So I think that's really important. And I think, you know, I told my mum about sad talk, and she was like, "Oh, don't be watching sad things," and you know, because she's thinking, of course, and she's probably listening to this. She's thinking, "Oh no, my son's being sad again, and might think about killing himself again," and that's not what I'm doing. I feel it's really important to feel those feelings. There's a difference between feeling the feelings of sad talk and reading like there's beautiful quotes from there that aren't necessarily just sad. Like there's beautiful quotes like there's one from, is it from the Odyssey or the Iliad or whatever it is, where it's like Heracles and someone else, and basically he says, "Take my hand," and the other person says, "But I fear to stain your clothes with my blood." And the other person says, "Stain them, I don't care." And it's just such a like, oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Like, you know when you start to realise that things are more important than people and interaction and love and emotion are more important than things, you know. I always think about that scene in American Beauty, which, are we allowed to talk about anymore? I don't know, because of the Kevin Spacey of it all, I don't know. But I quite like American Beauty. I think it's a really good film. And I really think about the scene where he and his wife, Annette Bening, are reconnecting. And, sorry about the sniff there, how was this thing? They're reconnecting and they're starting, ooh, maybe we're gonna, oh, this is cute, we're getting a bit drunk. And then they're leaning over and he nearly spills beer or wine or something onto her new sofa suite. And she like shouts at him, she's like, "This is a new sofa suite, you can't do that." And he's like, "I don't understand. Like, are you in love with me or are you in love with like?" So I don't know if this is what he says, but like it's such a, what I get from that scene is he's like so frustrated because he's like, you care about these sofas not getting dirty, but who cares? Isn't this more important? Yeah, I've always found that really interesting. Like the idea that some people care about, you know, make sure that you don't get muck anywhere because, you know, this is important and nice. And it's like, yeah, but are there more important things like having fun, being happy, loving, feeling things? Like, if someone came to me and they were crying, I wouldn't be worried about them getting tears on my stuff or on my clothes or whatever. Or if someone was ill, like, and they were getting messed over, it's like, I can clean that up later, let's make sure you're okay. Like, I think there can sometimes be such a dark, like, collaboration between things and needing things and buying things and then like putting the same amount of love and attention as you should put into other people. Can I be guilty of that? Maybe a little bit. You know, my drum kit, it's gonna sound so stupid. My drum kit, my parents bought me my drum kit when I was 15 and I was so happy. It's a really nice drum kit. You know, it's not, I'm sure you could pay a lot more for a drum kit. It's not one of the most insane drum kits ever, but it is a really, really, really good drum kit. It's a Mapex Saturn, and I love it. And they brought all the size drums I wanted, and it was like, oh my god, this is so great. I love this kit, and I hate letting anyone near it because I'm like, I don't want you touching that. It's got so, like this is it's my drum kit. My parents bought me this drum kit. You know, they put a lot of hard work into getting me this drum kit, and I owe it to them, I owe it to myself, I owe it to the drum kit to not let anyone just like break it or mess with it. Like, and sometimes when you're playing gigs, you know, if you're headlining, which I have been known to do, then you will have to let the support act sometimes play your kit. I remember this one gig, some guy was like stood on it, like the singer like put his right foot on the bass from left foot on the floor tom and was like just playing his guitar and singing. And I had to go with him afterwards. I was like, you're not meant to do that. Like, the fuck? Like, that's not your kit. That's my kit, and you borrowed it. Like, that's... I told them off, and they were like, oh, whatever, man. Like, I guess it doesn't make me very punk, I guess. But... And I feel punk in many other ways, but that just feels disrespectful. Like, in a way that's like... But, yeah. But, that being said, if they were playing... If they were someone I love, and they were playing something that I deeply felt, and you know, all that kind of stuff, and we actually had a relationship, and I respected them, then I would let them do that. So it's all about the person, not the thing. God, I really went down a rabbit hole there, and I can't remember where it started from. So I'm just gonna move on and talk about the fact that I am kind of single now. Again, it's funny. I broke up with someone who I'd been dating for 9 years, which is a really long time, and I have fallen in love twice since then, and we only broke up. I mean, oh my god, just like a day over 2 years ago. Jesus, and yeah, when you put it like that, that's weird, isn't it? And you know, I used to think about, you know, when I was thinking about ending that relationship, very close towards the end, I used to think about, oh, how exciting it'll feel to fall in love again and to re-experience those feelings. But honestly, none of those moments even remotely compare to having someone that you know in your life so well. Their parents are like your second set of parents. Their family are your second family. You love them and they love you completely unconditionally. You live together, everything. Share everything. Just getting a text that says, what do you want for dinner? Like, that doesn't compare. And I made the analogy when I went through a breakup recently. It's kind of a break. I don't know. It's odd, but and maybe she's listening to this, and I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about it, but I said the thing about how at the minute I feel like broken shards of glass or pottery. I do feel like I am that, and I feel like you're getting cut, trying to grab onto it, and yeah. So that kind of. You know, I've written a poem. Like, I sometimes write poems for these, and I have got a poem, and I'm excited to read it. So I'm gonna read it now. I was gonna say I'm excited for Barbenheimer. I'm seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer on Sunday, and I am very excited for that. That's gonna be wicked. But I think I'm gonna read my poem, talking about. Yeah. So. I don't know what the poem's called. The first line is I love Kintsugi, so I guess it's called I love Kintsugi. I haven't read it out yet, I've only written it down, so let's see how it sounds, shall we? I love Kintsugi, an art consisting of gluing together fragments of broken china with gold, an act resisting the need to dispose shards of broken china that broke, an arc persisting with beauty in the reconstruction of broken china now whole. Unlike the teapot that smashes, or cups that collide with the floor, no one will glue me back together, but fragments and shards can do a whole lot more when they are sure they are worth fighting for. I'm gonna
you're gonna see some live editing right now because Broken China that broke. It doesn't make any sense. Broken China. An act resisting the need to dispose of broken china. Dispose of broken china. Gold hole. Broken china. Bowl. An act resisting the need to dispose shards of broken china. Of broken china from a bowl. Fuck it. There we go. That works. I love kintsugi, an art consisting of gluing together fragments of broken china with gold. An act resisting the need to dispose shards of broken china from a bowl. An arc persisting with beauty in the reconstruction of broken china, now whole. Unlike the teapot that smashes or cups that collide with the floor, no one will glue me back together. But fragments and shards can do a whole lot more when they are sure they are worth fighting for. Yeah, I feel like I reckon I could do a bit more editing to this. I wrote it just before I started recording. I reckon I could do a bit more with that one, but there we go. I love Kintsugi. I always do music recommendations at the end of this. So this time's, I was gonna say this week's, but it's been 3 weeks since I last did one of these. So the 3 music recommendations I'm going to give are, I've really gotten heavily into this new band. I say this new band, they've been going for a while, but I've recently discovered them, and I feel like they're getting a bit of love at the minute, which is great. They're called Thumpasaurus, and they're amazing. They've got this one song especially called I'm Pissed, which has a video on YouTube, a music video, and Genevieve Artadi's in the music video, which is very fun, but it's a really great song. Thumpasaurus are great. Their album, Thumpaverse, 10 out of 10. Great album. There's also Black Leaves by Kirby, which is a song. So the artist is Kirby, and the song's Black Leaves. And this song is beautiful and haunting. It's definitely got a reminiscent thing of Black Fruit. Sorry, not Black Fruit, Strange Fruit. Freudian slip, I guess. And this song was written, I believe, or at least used in, there's a television program called like Women of the Moment, I think. And there's one episode about Marmy Till Mobley, which is Emmett Till's mum, and who was a badass. Like I think I mentioned the story earlier about Emmett Till, and his mum is one of the greatest women who've ever lived. Without a shadow of doubt. I don't know how many others who, if they say your child got beaten and killed because of the colour of their skin and drowned in a river, would then invite the press to the funeral, put her in an open casket, and fight as hard as she did. I think many others would give up, but she didn't, and God bless her for that. And then the other tune is a tune called Tank by Yoko Kanno. Yoko Kanno wrote Tank for the anime TV series Cowboy Bebop back in the 90s, and it bops hard. That tune is so much fire. And Tank is the opening tune, but then if you go and listen to the album, well, there's several different releases of the album. Whenever we get music from Japan, in the West, there's often a tendency for them to sort of package it in different ways, and it's never quite like this is the official one. It's always like, oh, there's this release from this time and that release. This one's got those songs, or this one's got those songs. It's like there's only one. It's one series of television. Just make one album. Come on. Which is very good. Tank is really, really good. But there's other great dogs on there. Good Dog No Biscuits. Space Lion, which is a brilliant tune. Rain, which features Steve Conti. It's Rush is another great tune on there. That whole album, the one that specifically out for me is the Cowboy music from Cowboy Bebop. But listen to Tank from Cowboy Bebop. That tune is a stanky one, I will have to say. A lot of fun. Thank you for listening to Big Boy Big Dreams. This show
is the show. Is it a show? I don't know if me being sat in front of my radiator in my room in London is necessarily what could be construed as a show. But this podcast, this blog, is very important to me as a sort of journal, as I chronicle my adventures in London. And I would really appreciate if anyone listening to this could, leave a review would be great, and maybe share it amongst your friends, because I'm kind of hoping that the things I say, because I'm trying to be very candid and treat everything I talk about offer candor and honesty, and I'm kind of hoping that people can hear that and do something with it. Maybe if I'm feeling what you're feeling and I've said it, you'll be more willing to say it and do things like seek help, seek friends, I don't know. I'm hoping that there are some experiences that I've experienced that are slightly universal or relatable. That's my hope. So yeah, maybe, leave her a little cheeky review, maybe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening, and or if you're on YouTube, drop a like, maybe a comment. Whatever gets the algorithm to pay more attention to little old me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace.